Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our second episode of Interlaced by Ummati Community, hosted by myself, Saad Ahmed. Today we have Noreen Ali from CH Collective as a guest, and I'm so excited to introduce you guys to her and the amazing work that she's doing with CH Collective. Noreen, please go ahead and share with our audience what CH Collective is and what you do with the organization and all the wonderful groups and the travel excursions that you guys have experienced and planned so far.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Really excited for this conversation and also really excited for the trip that we're going to be on in just less than a month. My name is Noreen Ali. I'm based in Houston, and I recently started an initiative called CH Collective. And really, it is a um, initiative to strengthen community through service, through learning, and through experiences in nature and the outdoors. And as Muslims, really understanding how those things tie back to our faith and how really they're essential in our deen as a practice. And so, Sage Collective came from me having a lot of really incredible experiences in nature. I had a chance to climb Mount Kilimanjaro about a year ago, actually, almost exactly a year ago. So last November is when we summited, and it was kind of a lifelong goal that came to fruition. My mom's side of the family is from East Africa, and a part of her childhood was spent in a town called Moshi, which is where Mount Kilimanjaro is. And so I grew up just listening to the stories about how she would open her window every morning and get to see the rooftop of Africa. And on the weekends, her dad and her siblings would go and run around the national park. And it was just made the trip, and we did the trek. We each brought friends with us. So it was a fun group of people doing this wild thing. And you just learn so much about yourself, and coming back from a trip like that and having been able to do things like this in recent years. I also got a chance to do the Jabal Nur hike when I went for Umrah. And when you have those experiences, really the takeaways, like it's so much more than like anything that you could capture in a picture or in a video or anything, it's just so far beyond anything you could tell your friends and your loved ones. And so when you have those experiences, the biggest thing that I take away is that I just want everybody who I know to experience this as well. And so when I came back from my East Africa trip, I got to spend a month reconnecting with family and visiting so many different parts of the country. Came back and wanted to think about how to create more experiences like this to make these types of outdoors and nature and travel experiences more accessible to my local community, to my loved ones, to my friends, to my family. And so that is kind of the story of CH Collective. It's been a year in the making, and we've been able to plan some trips over the past year, which have been a lot of fun, and looking forward to what's to come for 2025. But everything that we do, it's embedded in just, fostering learning about the world around us, but really like learning about ourselves and connecting to ourselves, to community, to Allah, and just through the experiences of nature and being able to experience awe and beauty and just those reminders that you have in those moments, that like any beauty, any awe, any like experience of like expansiveness that you have is really a mirror and a reflection of Allah. And yeah, it's something that I am so excited now to be able to share with the people that I know.
Wow, Mount Kilimanjaro, that's absolutely insane. I'm already excited with the trip that Ummati Community and CH Collective are coming together to for the Ramadan retreat, January 17th to the 20th. And I'm gonna be very honest, Noreen. The best part about all of this is the fact that we don't have to worry about the planning. I mean, as you know, like we always are planning like about 4 to 6 events a month, but doing this travel group, man, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And to have such a wonderful person on this organization to just really spearhead the organization and the planning is absolutely wonderful because one, I understand the work and the thought that goes behind it, but I can't even begin to imagine the time and effort that you put in to make sure everything runs so smoothly. And of course, you already have the experience to do so. So I want our listeners to just get a glimpse and the under and a little bit of an understanding of what goes behind the scenes when it comes to planning, whether it's a small trip or a big trip. I would expect that it's the same across the board. Or I'm sure there's a different level of challenges, but what are some things that our listeners can begin to understand, the amount of time, effort, and work that goes on, that just goes, unseen.
Yeah, yeah, I'm so glad that actually, like, even before our trip, like, you can see and feel that you're already being taken care of and that your girls are being taken care of, and that really is the thought behind all of this, right? There is so much intentionality around really curating an experience that allows people to engage
Mhm.
with nature, with themselves, with their community in really authentic ways. And so my goal and my hope always is to design an experience that really has all of our guests in mind. And so, whatever type of traveler you are, or whatever needs you have, or whichever of the many hats you're wearing, we've thought about all of those things. And we know that, people live very busy lives. They want to
Mhm.
have these experiences. They want to experience nature. They want to try something new. They want to push themselves outside of their comfort zone. But a lot of times, that barrier of like, where do I even begin? Or who do I go
Right.
with? Or how do I plan this? How do I budget it? Right? Like, it can be very overwhelming. And that's something that I just love doing and love thinking about. I've done this type of work for a really long time, both personally and professionally. Even in college, I ran our alternative spring break program. And so from a young age, even as a kid, like, have really appreciated the value of community and service and travel. And then professionally have been able to, work with a lot of school leaders and district leaders around the
Mhm.
country, and and work with them through, um, leadership development and developing programming that is like central to growth as adults. And so now being able to bring all of those pieces to the Muslim community, and design trips that have all of that in mind, where you learn about yourself, where you get to just pause and relax and have space for reflection. Every trip kind of has a different theme. The Big Bend trip that we went on at the beginning of the year, one of the big themes for that was like challenge and adventure, really pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. The Broken Bow trip that we came back from a couple of months ago was about resetting and relaxing. This hill country trip, like you mentioned, it's a pre-Ramadan trip. So really getting ourselves like in that mindset of, okay,
Mhm.
Ramadan is just around the corner. It's a new year. What are the goals that I have for myself? What are like the mindsets that I want to continue to work on and develop? How can I think about the past year and years past and really learn from them and grow from them? And these are things that like we all want to do and we all enjoy doing it, right? But just in the day to day, it's really, really hard to carve out that time. And so,
Right.
what we do is just take a really intentional approach and just thinking about all of the needs, right? From the types of conversations we're going to have to, every meal that's being planned, every snack that's being planned. All of our girls that are coming on this trip will get to weigh in with their favorite snacks, and
Mhm.
those will be there for them throughout the weekend, right? We think about every little detail so that your only job really is to show up for yourself and in whatever way you need to get whatever you need from that experience. Because these moments, like, they're so special and they don't happen very often. And so we don't want you to have to worry about what am I going to eat for dinner, or, um, let me map the directions to this park, or any of
Yeah.
that, because
Mhm.
like, time is time is scarce, and it's a valuable resource. And so we want you to just be able to immerse yourself. And I
Mhm.
think just like me having had the space to do that on past trips, like, that's really what I want to give our community. And doing something like Kilimanjaro, like, you know it is it is maybe like a goal or an excitement or something to look forward to, but really so much of what like actually you experience is none of what you planned. And
Right.
oftentimes it's the stuff that is like the things that go wrong or the things that don't go as planned, and how sometimes just in like our normal day to day we kind of get like caught up in like the mundane. And so
Mhm.
when things happen outside of our norm, it can feel really overwhelming. But then to experience things that make you uncomfortable or that are challenging in like a group or a travel setting with other people, it just really shifts your focus. And
Right.
I think, creating spaces where we can do that and then bring that back to our real life, it's really, really special.
Absolutely. I mean, I, for one, I'm very excited about this trip. And I remember telling my mom and my sisters about it. And I was like, you guys should come along with me because we have the entire thing planned and it's open for like all women above the age of 18. There is literally no maximum age to this. Everyone is welcome. And I was telling her out, and she was like, "No, no, I'm really thinking about coming." I was like, "Don't think, just sign up and just attend." And I think, and I think when it comes to women and just women trying to plan things for themselves, a lot of times is we just have so much responsibility, especially mothers, right? They are so busy not only with raising a child, but a lot of these mothers are also working. So for them to take out time for themselves and do something for themselves is very, very rare. So I'm so happy that we're able to do this, and there are a lot of mothers who are attending this trip, and that you've done such an amazing job with all the planning because I'm that type of person. You know, I'm the type of person trying to look for the best route and optimizing my time, looking for restaurants. But the fact that all I have to do is just figure out what I want to wear or the type of food I want to have and just be there with such a wonderful group of girls. I am so excited for this Ramadan retreat. And I don't know, like, I guess my next question to you would be just for myself, like, I've recently started traveling, like, with my friends or solo traveling a couple of years ago, and I'm sure that there are still a bunch of other ladies who have, a little bit of a reservation on how they can take that first step. There's always that little type of fear or anxiety, and I know there's still a little bit of a stigma in our community. So how like, what can you say to encourage these ladies to take that first step?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think the first and most important thing, right, is just to like acknowledge what we're feeling. And it's like totally normal. And we should feel a little nervous or a little excitement or a little bit of anxiety in pushing ourselves and in doing new things. And so I think like oftentimes we are taught, and this is like a response that's like conditioned in us even as children, to like run from the thing that makes us feel uncomfortable, the thing that gives us pain or that thing that challenges us, when really that's where we should be turning to, right? Those are the spaces and the moments and the opportunities where we grow. And that point that you made about how a lot of the ladies that are joining us in the hill country, we have 15 women signed up so far, and we have spots for a few more. Love that we have so many moms joining us, and wherever you are in your journey, whether you are a solo single traveler, whether you're married, whether you're a single mom, and really wherever you are in that journey, we have all ages, all abilities, all fitness levels that are joining us on these trips. It's just so, so important. And especially as moms, I saw something recently that said a child's ability to thrive in this world is directly related to the quality of their mother's happiness and
Wow.
emotional well-being.
Wow.
And like it has really just stayed with me, like as an adult now, like just thinking back to experiences I've had in my life. um but that is just so, so true, that like everything a parent, or as adults that we are, right, like we are mirroring that for the people in our lives, and especially when there are children around us. The best way to teach a kid to be happy and to um, know who they are and to have confidence and just to be joyful, and even as Muslims, right, to be kind and to be generous and to be sincere, all of these things, like we have to have that within ourselves, and we need
Absolutely.
those moments of reset and relax. And so the stories that we've heard from some of the moms that have come on these trips too, like again, I think it's just you plan and you have an idea of what's going to happen, but like truly the impact is so far beyond. And moms that have young kids that maybe haven't even slept in their a bed without kids for years, right, or gotten a full night's sleep, like just the impact of something like this, it really makes such a difference. And so I'm so, so excited that this is something that we're building, and there is such a need and there is such an excitement, and all of our trips are always female traveler friendly and solo women traveler friendly. And so we really encourage people, even if you don't know anyone going on this trip, come along. The first trip that we did to Big Bend, some of the participants that signed up knew me, but aside from that, they didn't know anybody else going on the trip. And it was just really beautiful. As I was getting ready to do this today, one of the girls sent a message on our group chat for that trip, and she's just recently gotten engaged, and she invited every single person from that trip to her wedding. And I think
Wow.
again, just yeah, um, it's just really beautiful. And like in her message said, January me never could have imagined like what was in store for me.
Mhm.
And, you all were a part of that. And I think in those ways, just seeing that message this morning really gave me chills. And, because you get to have these experiences where you get to know each other, you experience a lot of vulnerability, you go through difficult things together, you push yourself, and then you get to also realize like the manifestation of different duas and different things that we're working through in our lives. And so there is just such a power, I think. We've had even women who are new to Islam, and have recently taken Shahada, that will come on these trips, that are really searching for community. And, truly, who isn't in this life, right? Like that, the quality of life that we experience is tied to community. It's tied to the quality of our relationships. And so something that just really touched me on one of our trips is the convert girls that were a part of that group, and the way that they were really embraced by everybody else. We did a trip right before Ramadan last year, and so then going into Ramadan, these girls were invited to iftars throughout the month. They were invited to like intimate family iftars and gatherings at the homes of the other participants, and just like ways in which like just the impact and the good spreads like beyond anything you could have imagined. On our last trip, my mom actually joined us, and she'll be coming to the Hill Country. So Sarah, tell your
Oh, how
mom.
exciting.
Being in good company, yes. And my mom brought a friend of hers on our last trip, and we were doing a waterfall hike, and they were just having the
Wow.
best time. And my mom's friend just like paused every few minutes, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, Noreen, like I am reliving my childhood. I am reliving
Mhm.
memories from 60 years ago." And it was so beautiful. And to get to see like our parents in that way, it's just, there's nothing like it.
Right. I mean, that's so beautiful. I just want to go back a little bit to what you were saying. Sometimes we live our lives, and it's a manifestation of our du'as, right? And I think that is so profound, because there's so many times that we will forget that there are certain things that are happening in our lives, and we've literally asked Allah for that. And I remember just even younger, when I was younger, I would always think, there should be a woman's travel group, or there should be a way where women can come together and travel together and have those collective community like experiences together. And now look at us, like we're sitting here talking about this, and we're both planning on going on a trip together. And I'm just so excited and so blessed to be in a space that we're finally able to do this, right? And we're able to bring these type of experiences to the women in our community. And inshallah, like, I mean, I'm sure this is just the first of many, right? I mean, this is going to be our first trip together in 2025. What are your plans as from with CH Collective, and maybe like we can even do more collaborations with Ummati community? What kind of trips are you foreseeing in the rest of the year, and then 2026 and the many years to come?
Yeah, no, that's something that I'm so excited for as well, just to see what happens and where this goes, and really trying to focus right in a few different areas to create experiences that are inclusive and that just allow us to connect with ourselves, with our communities, with nature, with God in ways that maybe we hadn't before. And to your point about just the duas that we make and how they manifest themselves, I think that's something too that these types of trips like really bring out, because also the duas that you get to make, like when you are just by yourself hiking or in nature, or just when you get to disconnect. That's like one of my most favorite things. And you asked about what's to come, and I really love just picking spots and opportunities that allow us to disconnect. You get to,
Mhm.
be off the grid. You'll have cell phone signal like when you need it, but it's also just so nice to be able to unplug and to focus on your dua and to just think about things in ways that you hadn't, because then it also allows you to pay attention to how Allah answers those duas and how he shows up, and then you start to see that in everything you do. And so an example that I'll share from our trek in East Africa, it was the day that we were going to base camp, which was a really long day. And you do one of the hardest parts of that trek, which is you do a little bit of a scramble. Um, and there's like one like really steep area that you pass by that has like a really sharp drop if you know
Okay.
misstep. um,
Mhm.
and it's like several hours of like walking and hiking. And so that day as well, our crew had a little bit of a delay, and so by the time we ended up making it to base camp, it was dark outside, and there's no lights, and you're just walking in the expanse like for what seems like hours. And I remember in that moment, one of the guys on our team, he said, like this is a great time to make dua and to do dhikr, because we're walking on these tiny little pebbles, like feels like millions and millions of pebbles, like as far as the eye can see. And he's like, on
Mhm.
the day of judgment, all of these little rocks will like testify. And I thought it was just really incredible that like in that moment where we are tired and seemingly lost because it's so dark, that like those are truly the moments, right?
Mhm.
Um and so just excited to create more of those experiences where like you are pushed so far beyond your comfort zone. So we're thinking about a couple of international trips in the next year or so, also doing more local things. And so local to the Houston and Texas communities, we have a 5K that we are going to be bringing a group of girls. Actually, not just girls. The 5K is opened to families, to all ages, to men and to women. And so it's being hosted by an amazing organization called Heal Palestine. So we'll have Ummati and CH Collective folks sign up for that. So again, just creating authentic experiences for us to engage with ourselves, with nature, with movement, with being outdoors. Because I think a lot of times these are just experiences that we didn't have growing up, maybe
Mhm.
culturally, or for whatever reason, right? It just wasn't a part um, of of what we had. And so creating just spaces where this becomes the way that we live our lives. So doing more things locally, looking at different national and state parks around America, because there is so much beauty in our backyard.
Mhm.
And then looking at a couple of places internationally, we're thinking about doing a northern Pakistan trip coming up next fall.
No
So keep an eye out.
way.
Be amazing. And I think, like what I try to think a lot about too, as we grow up and as we have funds to spend on travel, is how we can be really intentional about giving back to local communities, really engaging with like Muslim economies as well. And then also as children of lots of different cultures, as children of diaspora, of immigrant parents, things like that. There is so much history, right? But so much of
Mhm.
our faith tradition that is like tied to all of these places. So being able to experience that in an authentic way whenever we will be traveling internationally, we work really hard to make sure that all of our guides and our tour companies and operators and all of that are locals, so that we are really really intentional about the communities that we're supporting, and how we can also like learn culture and other aspects of tradition like from the locals.
That is so exciting. I mean, northern Pakistan, that's an area that I've been wanting to explore. I've only been there once, and the fact that like you guys are already planning on something like that, that's so exciting. So just know that I'm probably gonna be one of the first signups. Just letting you know because I
Amazing. Well,
absolutely
you
have
are
been
so
wanting to do
welcome.
that.
And amazing. I cannot wait. I haven't been as far north as some of the places that we're planning. And so, there's just so much to see.
Yeah.
And all of our trips that we plan with CH Collective will always have some sort of like a nature outdoor component. So with Big Bend, we also did like a canoe excursion in addition to hiking. In Broken Bow, we actually had a private boat excursion where the driver of our boat was also a woman. So all of our girls got to dress comfortably, do water
Oh,
sports,
how
things like
nice.
that. So for northern Pakistan, we'll have like a climb slash hiking experience. And so
Mhm.
for some of these larger trips, people will have the opportunity to opt in or opt out of certain experiences. And so if you
Okay.
just want to come for the food, for the culture, for some of the sites, you'll be able to do that. And then if you want to do like the all inclusive with the hiking, you'll kind of get to pick and choose. And so there's truly something for everybody.
How wonderful. So it's very customizable. So that means every person can really pick and choose what they want to experience. That's amazing. So, I mean, I guess my last question to you would be, with this upcoming trip, this Ramadan retreat that's coming up in January, from the 17th to the 20th, what can people expect? I mean, it's like you said, it's less than a month away, and I remember we were planning for this much earlier on, and um, I think we have just a handful of signups left, so there's only a few spots left. So what can people expect? What should they be looking forward to?
That's a great question. I mean, I think just expect to have experiences that maybe you don't get to have every day. And, now there's research even that tells us, experiencing awe makes us more generous. It broadens our perspective. It makes us happier. And so to be able to do that in nature and to be able to climb a mountain and to truly do something that, like living in Houston and a lot of different parts of Texas, which is where our girls are coming from, these are just things that we don't get to see. So just
Mhm,
allow yourself to like experience and immerse yourself in everything. Um, Something actually also that is really, I think, like stuck with me from the hike that I did last year in East Africa. We had one of our tour guide or one of our mountain guides was Muslim, and he said that we were the first ever group that he had taken to the top of Kilimanjaro, and he described us as, he said, "You guys are my first pray 5 times a day Muslims that I've ever met on the mountain," and it just really stuck with me. And it's just like, wow, because I think as Muslims, like these are experiences that
mhm,
are like a part of our fitra, right? Like these are things that we need to know and to experience to like really know what it means to be Muslim. But also, like, I think there just aren't a lot of spaces that are curated and made for us where we really feel comfortable and we really feel ourselves and we feel like, hey, there's somebody else who looks like me that has done this. And so, the entire experience also is just really centered around, just a lot of intentionality. So halal meals and being able to eat really yummy foods. And we're going to do dua vision boards and talk about our duas and things like that and have moments of dhikr and reflection during our hikes and just pausing throughout the day wherever we are to pray together. And as women, this is going to be an all girls trip for the hill country, to be able to pray together and to pray in congregation. There's something so special and powerful about that. Waking up in the morning with a group of girlfriends and praying Fajr together.
mhm,
I would say those are, it is like the small little things that end up
mhm.
being the biggest things. So whatever that is for each person, really excited, to see how everybody kind of resonates with different parts of our trip.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the place that you rented out, I think it's the ranch. It's so beautiful, and I love the amenities that come with it. Like it's 15 acre of land, and I think there's a bunch of like hiking opportunities there as well. So there's going to be a lot of um opportunity for us to be, one with nature, like we were talking about earlier. So there's just I think it's just such a great time of the year to be going to right before Ramadan, for us to all just be like in the same mindset, and be prepared for that month. So I really can't wait. I'm super, super excited for that, and I can't wait to meet all the ladies that will be there. There are people that I know who are coming. There are people that I don't know who are coming, and it's just going to be such a wonderful experience. And I think it's going to be like one of those experiences that I will probably take with myself for the rest of my life. You know, I'll probably be thinking about it and thinking back on it. And I think that is the key thing that what CH Collective really does, right? Like creating these monumental experiences that people can look back and be like, no, that was phenomenal. And I can't wait to go back. So I'm so happy to finally be able to experience that with you and with CH Collective, with Ummati community, inshallah. And I'm counting down the days. I can't wait until January comes closer.
Me too. Oh my God. I am so excited because I mean the trip will be wonderful and then also what happens after. And that's the piece that you just hold on to and you're like, "Whoa, like I got to do this thing and it's like impacted me in all of these other ways." I'll just share when we went to Big Bend, we took a group and that was actually a co-ed group and the last one of the last days of the trip, we hiked a trail that leads to the highest point in the Chisos mountain range, which is where you're in Big Bend National Park in West Texas. And so that hike, it's an all day thing. It's like a 7, 8 hour round trip. You start early in the morning, and even making it halfway, honestly, or 3/4 of the way, like all of that is such a feat. But I will share, like a chunk of the group made it all the way to the top and a few of the girls, like two or three of the girls that made it all the way to the top, it was their very first time hiking, period.
Wow.
And it's just incredible too, right? Like how perception is reality. And if you believe something, like your thoughts are so powerful and what you tell yourself you can do, it just really opens so much for you.
Mhm.
And so getting to have that experience with them, like it was just so incredible because I think those are the pieces too that you bring back. And it's like, whoa, I did this thing that I never would have imagined. I never would have planned it. Like maybe it really scared me, right? But I did it. And so it makes me ask myself, like, what else can I do? And so I think that's like the piece that's really exciting of what we're getting to embark on together, Sarah. And I know this is like the first of many more adventures to come.
Inshallah, inshallah. I'm super excited. Well, I mean, I want to thank you, Noreen, for joining me on today's podcast and for this wonderful episode. It was incredibly enlightening to learn more in detail about what you do with CH Collective and y'all's future plans and getting just a little bit of an insight of all the planning and the organization that goes on that we honestly take for granted. Like, so I I have to thank you for all the work that you're putting in. And of course, for everyone that's listening, I want to make sure that you guys have all the links that we will be sharing in the description below. So you will have access to everything to CH Collective as well as Ummati Community. And of course, the link to sign up for the upcoming Ramadan retreat that is happening January 17th to the 20th. Noreen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast.
Likewise, and I'll see you in a few weeks in the mountains and so excited to see the rest of our Ummati girls as well. So talk soon.
Awesome. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much.
Walaikum salam.